there y'all, Yamasaki here. Welcome back to the channel. Today is part 5 of the Lauson Model W hit and miss engine restoration. And this time we're going to finally be getting around to getting this piston out of here and getting that exhaust valve out. I've got a couple ideas. I think I'm going to go about this with the charcoal method. I just don't think that little torch that I have that I've been using to heat up the rest of the stuff is powerful enough to do this. So we're going to try an old school way with charcoal. Don't know how it's going to go. We're just going to have to find out. So stay tuned. Once we get the rest of this stuff freed up, everything should be cake, and this project will be rolling along in no time. So everything's still lying about. We got to do a few things before we actually get around to this piston. Got to get that pulley in the evaporust. I pulled the support pieces for the frame stand out. I'm going to go put them on the stove and let them dry some more and get them primed and painted. But aside from that, let's go ahead and get that pulley in that evaporust. Get it nice and shiny again. It's pretty nasty. Just gonna grab this big honky tonk and hope it fits in there. Yeah, look at all that rust. It's not bad rust. A lot of powder rust. And it's gonna fit in there perfectly. Bada bing, bada boom. In the meantime, with that doing that, I still have a little bit to do on the flywheel. The whole governor's free, but I'd like to take that spring and that bolt off right there. I just don't know how tricky it's going to be. They're still very, very greasy. But I got to do a little bit more cleaning on that. Probably do that later tonight. Get it finished up, and get it masked off, and get it painted. But yeah, we got to get this damn piston out of here now. The whole reason I've been holding off on doing this is I'm just trying to figure out how exactly I'm going to go about doing each of the components and spots on this block. If I get the charcoal in there first, get it heated up, get that piston out, that's great. But I was thinking about putting some evaporust in here to get all the rust out of here. And if I have a hole in here, it's just going to leak out without that piston. But the evaporust could also help get the piston out by getting some evaporust and getting that rust converted and disintegrated in there. Problem is, I already put oil in there. And if I put my oil tube, evaporust slowly degrades paint. It'll kind of act like a paint stripper and take that paint off, and I really don't want to have to repaint anything. So I'm just trying to get my bearings here, how I'm going to do this. I don't know. I really do not know. Because then it'll just be nasty and stuff inside with all that evaporust, and then I can go ahead and do the piston. It's just going to get all nice and grimy in there too if I miss any of that evaporust. Man, I don't know. I'll get back to you guys when I have a final decision. Okay, so here's my thought process. We're going to go ahead and do the charcoal first. Get the piston out of there. Then I'm going to go ahead and do the evaporust in the hopper. I'm just going to stick my oil tube in there and prevent any evaporust from getting in there. I mean, I really would like to get the oil and rust and crap out of that hole. It's going to be really tricky and time consuming. But I think that charcoal is just going to burn a lot of this rust too, get it all loose and everything. So I think it's the better option. So we're going to go ahead and get that started and rock and roll. Alright, so step 1 is to find a piece of wood that I can pound on it with. A little too long, so I gotta cut it down. It's just a piece of plywood. It's not a 2x4, I know, but plywood's pretty tough and it'll get the job done. So that's step 1. Let's go to step 2. Alright, so here's what step 2 involves. We gotta get this charcoal lit. I ran out of Zippo fluid, so I'm just gonna use some combing fuel. Soak it in there. My plan is I'm gonna get this hot, dump it into a shovel, and then dump it into the hopper. Woo! Always gives you a scare. Alright, so I got about 2 bowls of charcoal in there. I got the fan on it to keep it extra hot. We got some smoke coming out of one of the drain plugs. And it's pretty hot in there. I'm just going to let it do its thing in there for a little bit. Might add a couple more pieces. But hopefully it gets this thing hot enough that I can just pound it out the back. I got a piece of wood right there to keep the connecting rod up, otherwise it'll just hit the back of this. But yeah, look at those glowing in there. Come on, charcoal. Do me some good. Yeehaw! We did it! We got it, y'all. That thing doesn't look bad at all. I mashed the hell out of my pounding stick. But god dang, we got her out of there. Woohoo! It wasn't that bad. There's not a lick of rust on that thing. God dang. What do you know? Victory! We got one more to go. That stuck old bastard. So, upon closer inspection, there's a little bit of rust towards the back, which makes sense, but not enough to completely make it stuck. It just couldn't get past the clearances of the cylinder and the piston, I think. And I'm sure putting some oil down the cylinder, evaporushing both sides, everything played a part in getting this piston out of here. And I'm betting anything, because I've seen it before, that is probably just a pin key or a pin holder for the piston pin. I think that's all that keeps it in there. I'm not sure why the nail's there still. I'm going to have to figure that out. But I'm going to have to degrease this thing. I'm going to evaporust it fully, use the very last amount of good crap in my bucket for the piston here, and that thing will be good to go. I think the rings might be a little stiff. Yeah, they're stuck in there. So I'm going to have to play around with that. This thing is still hotter than piss, but the cylinder doesn't look that bad. Yeah, get some oil in there. Do a little bit more of a rough hone with the drill on the towards the back there, and then take the hone, but that's all coming later. Just happy I finally got that dang thing out of there. Sweet. I got the piston sitting in the evaporest, been in there for about a couple hours. I can probably pull it and get it degreased and everything, work on it. Over here I have got the crankshaft and the flywheels primed, ready to be painted. Running low on red paint, so I'm going to have to finish off the can that I have and wait until I get some more. It's looking pretty darn good. I just masked off the journals and that was about it. That's all I did. Over here, my dad looked at this closer and he saw that I kind of mushroomed the end of that valve. So he filed it down for me, and then he hammered it, and he got it to move just a tiny bit to where I can get some solution in there. I think we're going to have to end up pressing this thing out, heating it up and pressing it out. Should do the trick. And I painted the other side of the governor and camshaft assembly. Just waiting for that to dry. It'll probably be done by tomorrow. I can finally get it put back together somewhat, and that part will be done. And there are the flywheels, all nice and freshly painted red. Ooh, man, does that look good. Still gonna have to turn it over and do the bottom of everything, but I'm gonna have to let it dry before we do that. Just pulled the piston out of the evaporust. I'm letting it soak. It turned out pretty darn good. Not a lick of rust on that thing anymore. So, I mean, we made great progress. We got 3.257 things unstuck. So that is good. We're making slow progress. Hopefully in the next video I'll have that valve out. I'll have that put all back together. This will be fully painted. The piston will be fully gone through. And then we really just have to... I got some parts in the mail. Should be coming hopefully soon. A couple of grease cups and a new sight glass for the oiler there. But in the next video we're going to be focusing on pretty much this. We got to get the block off. We got to clean the block. Get it honed. Do the gas tank. I got to do all this bracing. So we still got quite a ways to go, but we're getting towards the home stretch. That's for sure. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment for more content. And Yamasaki out. We'll see y'all later in the next video.